All right, we are back with another episode of Game Chat with Tom and Lucas. I am Lucas, that is Tom, and if you figured out the structure of our last few episodes here, it's time for a guest-based episode. Isn't that right, Tom?
Yes, it is, Lucas. We've been killing it with the back and forth. We've been bringing you guys some great different voices from around the all corners of gaming. And today is no different. Today, our guest is a owner and co-founder of a wonderful trading card game shop and event space in Southern Florida. It is called Prodigy Games, and our guest is named Ryan Gnieski. Right. I'm pretty sure I got that pronunciation right. Maybe not. We'll find out. I'll ask him. But, you know, we'll see. I think this is going to be a great interview. We're going to find out all about trading card games, all about tabletop games. What are you excited about, Lucas?
I'm excited to find out what's popping in the trading card world. What's popular? What's got value? What's hot? What's not? And really how people like you and me who aren't in the know can get in the know and get involved.
For sure, for sure. It's not something we usually cover. We're usually more in the virtual space, but trading card games have made their way there too. So we're gonna jump right into it. Hopefully you guys like this one. If you want more content like this, check us out on Instagram at GameChat_Tom Lucas. Give us a subscribe on YouTube or follow us on Spotify. We're everywhere. We're gonna continue being everywhere. And if you're in Southern Florida, you'll be able to check this place out and come meet Ryan. So without further ado, here's our interview with Ryan Gnieski. What up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to today's episode of Game Chat with Tom and Lucas. Today we have here with us, and I am totally going to butcher your last name, my friend, so I apologize. Ryan Nieski?
I think that's really close, and I think that's how you should pronounce the last name. We say Gnieski, but doesn't make sense phonetically. So it's however you want to interpret it, man.
Hey, I'm just glad I was close. So anyway, we have Ryan Gnieski here with us today. He is the co-founder and co-owner, I believe, of Prodigy Games down in Southern Florida. It is a tabletop card game shop, but I'm sure Ryan can give a much better description of what Ryan's shop is about.
Yeah. So it's like any other trading, not like any other, but you go to the trading card game store, you need a place to play the hobby. It's not something you just meet at your friend's house and do. You really need that central place to go hang out with your friends and your community. I grew up doing this for a long time, and that's how I've met lifelong friends. So we specialize in selling trading cards, mostly singles and sealed product. We always try to be the lowest price online, beat any price. The whole idea of opening the store was to just hang out, a place to hang out with our friends and get the product they want at the cheapest price possible. We also do a little bit of Dungeons and Dragons, gaming accessories. Recently got into pops, more collectible stuff. But yeah, we're primarily focused on trading cards, Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, Card Vanguard, Wise Schwartz, Dragon Ball Super, One Piece, basically any of the Bandai games. Almost any trading card game you can imagine we sell. And yeah, that's why we're here, because you got to keep the hobby going. You got to have a place to go and do this stuff. So yeah, that's why we opened.
Absolutely, man. That sounds amazing. I've always been super interested in trading cards and a lot of tabletop games specifically. Me and Lucas played a ton back when we were living together in college that I'm glad we got into and otherwise would not have gotten around to see. A good friend of mine has been incredibly involved with Magic all his life. So I am glad you could make it with us today, man. Thank
Yeah.
you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
What was your first focus with Prodigy Games in terms of trading cards?
So the first focus, the game we started with heavily was Magic. At the time, my partner and I were playing Magic primarily, though we came from primarily a Yu-Gi-Oh background. So we were traveling to all the stores in South Florida, and we're like, well, we need a place to play in Palm Beach County. People need cheaper prices, and we want to really hook them up with the cards they need locally. So we opened up kind of just to hang out with our friends, and in all honesty, for more opportunity for me to play the game. So I was playing in the tournaments, but as I played in tournaments, they need help at the front. They have a question, and it just, as we grew bigger, I haven't played in any tournaments, honestly, because because it's the shift. The work has shifted so much towards just fostering a community more so than just giving me some more to play cards. It's
Absolutely.
definitely grown bigger than we thought.
Nice. And, that's all you can really ask for. The community aspect of it is definitely, what is the coolest part. We just like to be able to go into a place and really be who we are and be ourselves and like share the love of the thing with everybody around them.
That's exactly it. With these trading card game stores, I've traveled all around the world, and I'll walk into a trading card game store, and we don't speak the same language, or we have a language barrier, and we'll still like show each other the cards. And I've played matches with these guys, and I honestly, we can't really comprehend each other, and our cards are in a different language, but we can see the image, and it's kind of like how we communicate, like sign language. It's like this, okay, and then you end up playing
That's
a whole
super cool.
match that way. So it's kind of like the secondary language. A lot of people, the community is worldwide, and you can walk into any trading card game store and feel accepted and welcome.
So, I know you guys are, like you said, are wants to host events and have tournaments and bring people in together. And I'll jump to that in a little bit, but as quickly as you can, I guess, what would be like your little TLDR for how you guys like started and got to the ground level of opening up this shop?
So most of my life, since probably about 5 or 6, my father used to bring me to the flea market to play Pokemon, and I've lived in Palm Beach County for about 30 years, and we never had a place to properly play. We were playing at a flea market and a comic book store. So that's eventually why we ended up opening the store. Kind of how we got into it around opening the store is we were buying and selling a lot of singles back then, primarily.
Okay.
He was really pushing the singles, and that's how you end up getting the funding. And that's what we initially were really reliant on when we had opened the store. And you'll find that most trading card game stores, especially ones that stay local, are primarily focused on is, you walk into the store with a $100 card, I give you $65 for it, I sell it for $100, with fees, I'm making somewhere around $20 on the card. And that's kind of the whole model of a trading card game store. We shifted a little bit away from that, but in our heart, that's how we're here. We're here to admittedly sort of like a pawn shop where you buy cards for less, you sell them for more. And the players understand that too, when they're selling cards at a store, they're supporting their store. They're also getting cash, or we bump up 20% for store credits. So it's kind of like making a fair trade on the cards too.
Okay, that makes sense. You mentioned going into these different places like pawn shops, flea markets, and whatnot, places where you would find these kind of like niche things out of nowhere. But where did it hit you guys, especially operating off of singles, like you were saying? Where did it hit you guys where you're like, okay, we've crossed this line, we have enough inventory where we can like go in, get this done, make it happen?
Well, again, Will was a huge contributing factor to that. He was really pushing his own TCG player store, which is like the largest online platform for selling singles in the world.
Okay.
It's growing and growing and growing. They just got acquired by eBay. It's pretty crazy. So they were selling a lot on there. I was always selling off my own on backpacks or on Facebook groups or websites, Reddit posts, forums. So he had more of the online sense, where I was more just connecting with people locally. But eventually, you make $100, you make $200, you make $1,200, $1,800, $800. You start making this money left and right, and you have the process. But you have so many cards. If you had more people to help you, that this would get done. There'd be more money to be made. So that's eventually, a combination of that idea and then the desire for a place for the community to go. That's why we decided to open. And I would say 90% of our initial revenue came from buying and selling, your collection. People want to shift out of the game into a new game, pick up new cards, financial issues, or just also need money. They just sell their collections, and there's a lot of, like you were mentioning, flea markets and stuff. There's a lot of hunting them down. Garage sales. Sometimes you'll find a diamond. I had a friend. What was it, an estate sale? There we go, an estate sale, and he cleaned up. Estate sales can be huge for this stuff, but yeah, it's really trying to source the cards. There is a finite supply of it. If I'm buying all the stuff in the area, it's like, it's like There Will Be Blood. You drink all that oil, and you got, So it's really tough to keep them going. So that's why we started traveling around the country to acquire these.
Okay. That's pretty cool, actually. Where would you say is like, well, I guess it must differ on, the game that's being played in terms of like a regional aspect. Is there a hub of sorts, would you say, at least in the US, where like a lot of people gather for these kinds of things, hold events, maybe conventions, things like that?
Oh yeah. So anywhere in California, I know YCS Pasadena is coming up soon. What California sets records, like they're in the Guinness Book of World
Oh,
Records,
okay.
the largest. So California is huge. Because it's on the West Coast and it's proximity to where a lot of the games come from. So yeah, they're huge. It seems like I've been in Indianapolis 15 times in the last 15 years. So I feel like Gen Con's hosted there. A lot of the bigger trading card game companies will host an event at least once a year there. The Southeast is tricky. So Florida's got a huge trading card game player base. The problem is Florida's kind of disconnected from the rest of the country, so it's kind of harder to travel into. So you'll find that some of the Florida events, like local events, blow the doors off, regionals or anything like that. But then more of the national events, like the big YCS or the Grand Prix or whatever, typically don't come down to Florida very often. So sorry, I'm patting my cat.
That's
So
a-okay.
I would say also Atlanta. So basically, the Southeast, the West Coast, sort of the Midwest, and then Northeast is kind of all over because you can drive in between the states to attend all the different regionals and stuff. So
Good
I'd
point.
almost just say, anywhere in the Northeast is really another good hub for it. I played at some really big events in New York. We just ended one in New Jersey. A few months before that, we were in Hartford, Connecticut. So, different states for each event, but it's close enough that you'll travel for them.
Gotcha. That makes sense too. Like everything seems to be happening out in California for the most part. So that makes a lot of sense.
California is crazy. One of my guys is actually there right now for an event. I can't even think of which event it is. There's so many of them. A couple other staff members have been there for a Final Fantasy event. And it's these obscure games where, Final Fantasy, we might get 12 players for, and in California, they're getting 56. It's
Sure.
it's very crazy. And then you'll find some of the more traditional games like Magic and Pokemon, they don't get as big numbers, which is crazy because the Japanese games are so focused, in California.
So, since starting Prodigy Games, what would you say is either your favorite or best card that you guys have come across?
That's really hard because my favorite or best card, you buy the more expensive card each time, and then that's my favorite one. The $10,000 card, well, the $15,000 card, the $25,000 card, my favorite one. Man, I don't have favorite anything like favorite food, favorite place to be, honestly. But some of the cooler cards we came across, more so collections. There's this guy that we knew in Palm Beach County for like the last 20 years who'd go around with the worst, crappiest binder, but it had a full set of the first set of Magic.
Oh, no way.
So unlimited, yeah, full set. And he just walk around and show it to people like, oh, hide that. What are you doing, man? And then he ends up when we opened, he was coming to the store and playing like old school Magic, like 25-year-old decks, and he was getting demolished by the new stuff. But he was so dedicated to it, he loved it his whole life. Well, the unfortunate end of the story is that he came up to me one day and like, man, I have cancer. I got to get treatment. I've been showing this my whole life, and I only want you to have it. I've known you since you were a kid. I'm like, dude. So to this day, I told him, man, here's how much I'll give you. You can come back to me in 25 years and give it right back to you for the same price. Keep it in a safety deposit box. So that was one of the cooler collections that I definitely remember picking up, just because of the significance behind it and the fact that he felt he was so close to the game that he held on to these cards for so long, wanted to share them with other people. And most importantly, like the hardest thing to do, he kept them in really good condition. So that was one of the cooler ones. And then during the Pokemon boom, some of the craziest stuff you'd see. First edition, Shadowless, fully graded A+. I'm talking $160,000 collection come into the store, That kind of stuff is there. But yeah, this guy with the Unlimited is my favorite story.
Oh my God. Yeah, I can't imagine how like crazy that must be. That's the craziest thing to me, that despite, some of the value behind these things, it's like the sentimental value, like that's priceless. That's the stuff you cannot top at the end of the day. It blows my mind how crazy and attached people, not in a bad way by any means, but it's always cool to hear that.
Yeah, I have an attachment to any gift. Sorry, any card that's ever been given to me or gifted, I've gotten from other stores around the country or my friends, or whatever, just gifted to me. I've never gotten rid of, and I have a binder sitting right up there, presents basically, and each one has a story of a different friend or a travel.
Oh, that's amazing. So, in speaking of the value of cards, like for the uninitiated, I'd say, like what do you guys look for when you're out there hunting for these different singles and these different collections? You know, what are some of the key aspects that make these things valuable to you guys?
So two different things. Like I would say the average thing we hunt after for is like binders with volume. Like, if it's sometimes you'll have a binder. It's all $1 cards. We don't even want to bother with that because there's such high fee. We don't want to process $1. We want to process $5 plus cards. So if we see a guy walks up and he's got a binder with 600 $5 plus cards, we'll sit there with him for about an hour. We have a scanning software. We sit there, we scan it, and we get the exact price online, and we offer about 65% cash on that. So that's really what we're looking for. But I personally look for the big fish. Like I want to buy that $5,000 card, $10,000 card. I want to buy it. But more importantly, I want to be the guy that sold it. I'm sitting on some of the rarest cards. Like I can go on for a while. I have a card that's never been sold before. How much is it worth? $5, $10, $1,000, $100,000. You have no idea. And I like that stuff. The more obscure, hard to move, because you get joy when you buy it, make money on it, and honestly, if you find someone to sell it, you're selling like information. You're almost a broker at that point, and that's fun to me.
Fair.
I brokered $100,000 Alpha Black Lotus during Gen Con. That was pretty sick. Went for 90, and the guy sold for 110. I got a little kickback, so guy made 20K.
Oh wow, that's crazy. That's really cool to me, actually. Like the fact that you have cards that have never been sold before. You're literally like, you're part of the history at that point.
Yeah, and the card isn't like the few set of these cards aren't super significant. One's a Yu-Gi-Oh card, a Magic card. They're not super significant cards, but like they're just so rare and odd, and they really kind of have this unknown value.
So before you were talking about kind of having some of the events and tournaments you guys have been involved with. So we're just wondering, what is your favorite part of hosting events with other people?
Oh, this is an easy one, man. Like we just hosted our regional. We had 214 players, which is a pretty good size. We got the Palm County record for it. And like the fact that
wow, congrats.
55 people came up to us and were like, thank you so much for this event. We also do charity raffles at all of our events. We raised like $2,200 for the Adopt a Cat Foundation. $2,200 out of 214 people. Like that's pretty good numbers, We were raffling off some really rare stuff too. So it was really cool getting to help and donate to that Adopt a Cat Foundation. But it's just the praise of the players who say like, this is a great event, man. Thank you. We take a loss we just hosted a $5,000 tournament in Tampa. We lost like $3,000 doing it. And you know what? It's for the players, it's for our friends. So that's the best part about doing it. The guy I grew up, it's insane. These guys that I grew up with, I mean, seriously, I've been playing games with them for 17 years. I knew the one dude since he's 12. We've won 3 of these huge tournaments now, and a world-renowned name, and getting to put on stuff for them, and that's why I do it. That's literally it. Like we lose a lot of money on events a year. I'm giving away a PlayStation 5 next week, and it's for the players.
Of course. We just interviewed a friend of ours who is very involved with the Smash Melee community here in New England, and he does a ton of TOing, and we got the exact same kind of answer from him. It's about the people who love it. It's about the people who do it. It blows my mind how similar that answer was, and I'm so happy it is because at the end of the day, it's like, it doesn't matter about the money. It matters about the connections. It matters about the people, and it matters about the love of the game. So that's wicked cool to hear that you guys are succeeding so well in that.
Yeah, 100%. I never understood the mentality of like, now I do, but someone that like a judge, someone that judges a game doesn't get to ever enjoy the events or anything like that. It's just reading the rules and disqualifying people, and I never understood that, but I recently did because it is for love of the game. Because without those judges, there is no game. So they're doing it. It's very selfless, and I'm not saying we're saints here, but 90% of store owners I know are working 50 plus hours just so they can stay a couple extra hours with 2 guys that want to finish a match. It's for the guy. Like you make memories with them. So
absolutely,
yeah, it's for the love of the players.
It's good to see that you guys are succeeding and doing so well. Like you're running these crazy events, you're breaking records. I've also seen, you're pretty active on YouTube. You guys have like a solid channel with a lot of good content on there. With the pandemic that happened over the past 2 years and with the crazy popularity and like trading card boom that happened due to like, big celebrities getting into it and whatnot. I see you guys have a lot of box break content on there, for instance. Like, has that affected your growth in a real positive way? Has it, not really contributed as much?
So the YouTube was doing really well for us in the beginning. Like we only have 700 and some odd subscribers. We're really trying to get it there, but we're really pouring our heart into it, editing and everything for the YouTube content. But during COVID, it was pretty interesting because we actually got, even though we had 300 subscribers, we had a video that got like 30,000 views, and we sold a ton of this product. But mostly of the socials are popular. It was on Instagram for all of last year. And then out of nowhere, we woke up one day and Instagram was gone. So we kind of lost that. So we started recently hopping back on, well, what other social media can we get onto? We have TikTok. That's doing pretty well for us. And we're starting to really fan out the YouTube. The box break contents are popular. We're thinking about branching off the Whatnot, which is just basically box break content. But yeah, the pandemic really completely shifted how we do our business. It was, I would say 70% was foot traffic. 80% was foot traffic before, and we were relying on that retail. But during the pandemic, we lost that. I just quickly built a website, and we started selling on there. And since then, things have kind of boomed off. With the pandemic ending, the things like Pokemon prices have plummeted because the hype's not all there. So many people bought into it that it burst, and here we are with Pokemon prices. But during the pandemic, things I couldn't sell for $100 was selling for thousands.
That's crazy.
It was life changing, and it was the only way, like, to have that significant of a change in the industry and that popularity. Like, it would not. I don't think it would have happened for decades had that not recently occurred, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. That was like one of the craziest parts to me. And my dad is huge into, well, he's trying to branch out into more traditional trading cards, not necessarily playing them, but he's into the market of buying and selling. Like sports cards are his juice. So I'm glad to hear this from somebody who actually works in the industry about kind of more of an insight on what that looks like. Because, he, like, God love him, he was like, oh my God, this is like the second coming of Christ. Like, he was going off about it. So I'm glad to hear, there was ups, there was downs, but I'm glad to see you guys got like a very nice life-changing kind of moment out of that.
Yeah, it kind of was the second coming of Christ. We were we were still one of the only stores. So we were hosting like duels online, and
oh, cool.
We were one of the first people to open back up with gloves and masks and sanitizer all over the place. But we at one point even had screens in front of us. But it kind of was the second coming of Christ. The price of like sports cards and anything collectible just blew up during COVID, and yeah, that doesn't mean it will happen again. But if you're interested in like that stock aspect of it, tcgplayer.com, you can actually look at the price of cards over a year or so, and it'll show you up, down, up, down, up, down. And you can kind of do the same thing with stock investment. You can think, okay, it's at a high, it's at a low, I buy 30 copies of it.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it is 100% that at the end of the day. And that's the crazy part to me is like, it's the stuff that like I love, that I traditionally grew up around, like I've been playing Pokemon my entire life. Suddenly billionaires are talking about Pikachu cards, and that's what was super crazy to me about it. So I'm glad to see it benefited you guys for sure.
Yeah, seriously. It sucks, but like we had, I was mentioning there was no events down in South Florida ever, and there was this huge one coming from Magic for the first time in like 30 years. And you went out in Palm Beach County, right up the street from us, and that got canceled, and the hobby basically died for an entire year. But there was that resurgence that kind of made up for it. So while the industry lost money and stores closed and everything like that, more people during the boom were able to flourish, and new stores came from the ashes of the other stores. So it literally was a second coming of Christ for the industry. Yeah.
So I know you said earlier you don't have any favorite anything, but what are some of the like physical card or tabletop games that you enjoy the most?
So I grew up playing when I was obviously very young. I played Pokemon. I love that. I still have I'm never gonna get rid of the original collection. It's not even worth that much, so I would never get rid of it. So I grew up playing Pokemon. Then like mid-teens, I switched into Yu-Gi-Oh. I probably played it for about a decade. I was pretty good at the game, and That was when I was really having all this time to focus on it. So then after that, before I opened the store, I was playing Magic for 4 or 5 years. And again, I was pretty good at it because I had time to focus on it. So I went from Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic, and now since the beginning of this year, dove head deep into Yu-Gi-Oh. Actually, that's what I'm getting ready to do soon here. I'm getting ready to play a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament. A new store actually opened up in Colorado, and I want to check them out.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I never could get into Yu-Gi-Oh myself, but a huge Pokemon fan. I wish I did get into Yu-Gi-Oh, but I don't know. When we had Pokemon cards back in the schoolyard, people were way about Pokemon at my school and not as much about Yu-Gi-Oh.
The old Yu-Gi-Oh cards aren't even really worth much unless you had like very old, immaculate condition cards. Same thing with the Pokemon cards, the old stuff. You just said you're playing on the playground. Like, who had the foresight to keep it in good condition?
Exactly.
All day.
Oh, for sure. It's not tradition. It's not as much like a trading card game itself, but Lucas mentioned, some of your favorite trading card games to play. We have played quite a few number of like deck building games in terms. So we too are very, very partial to a game called Boss Monster. I don't know if you've ever heard it. Oh,
yeah.
One of my all times.
Boss Monster playmat somewhere around here.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. My big deck builders though are Star Realms. Star Realms I've been playing since that game came out. I have every expansion for it. I bring it with me to every event. It's like my box of fun, and it just pops out, and you play this amazing deck builder. I love Star Realms and highly recommend anyone play Star Realms.
All right, for sure. We'll have to check it out. We occasionally like hit up a tabletop simulator to play like Boss Monster and different games on there. So we'll see if we can find ourselves a kit of Star Realms on there, because I've heard quite a good amount of things about that game. So
yeah, it's on the phone now too, and you can just play online matches or play against the AI. The AI is very good. Or pass and play it. It's annoying for some people, I think, but a lot of times I'll be at a restaurant and we'll pass and play Star Realms.
We did that literally for years with his iPad, and we'd play Risk.
Yeah.
It's a good time.
One thing I saw on your website that I was pretty interested in is I know you guys are blowing up and really, really getting out there. It mentioned that in your About Us that you were looking for a bigger space. What do you guys have in mind for the future? Are you trying to stay kind of in Palm Beach? I know Florida recently got super, super hit with the hurricane, so I can't imagine that's been easy at all. But, what are you guys thinking for the future?
Yeah, luckily the hurricane didn't really impact our coast. Knocked some trees down, broke some fences, broke a couple windows. It wasn't too insane for our area. A dream that we've always had. It's like we grew from 2,200 square foot to 3,000 some odd square foot. Now we're like 4,500, 4,600 square foot. We got the shed, 2 storage. Like we have so much product in the back. There's like literally no room to walk. We have 3 people shipping out all day, all week. And so our play area has sort of suffered. Our play area is probably like 2,800 square foot. We can sit about 75, 80 people comfortably, but we're looking to host those 200 plus person events. And we're looking to have an event center. Another important thing that I've really been wanting for years is a cafe. A lot of my favorite stores all have like cafes or at least healthier snacks to have. Like, in all honesty, all we offer are Snickers and Kit Kats and soda. It's just not my favorite thing to serve and sell. So an event center somewhere, and a lot of stores do have this. It's really cool. But a split off area where you can host the big tournaments, go play your card games, maybe pick up singles and sell your singles there. And you have some food, so you want to stay for these events a lot longer. I'm actually looking to buy a hot dog. I bought a hot dog cart. Maybe we'll do something with it.
Oh, awesome!
But yeah, I'm just trying to branch out and really do the event space more and give Palm Beach County bigger places to play. Look for those bigger tournaments and bigger events with bigger prize support is what we're trying to do. And one day we wouldn't mind opening a second location just to reach people further north of Palm Beach County. But the heart's in Palm Beach County. I live in Colorado now, and I could open a store tomorrow and be very successful, but it's really about Palm Beach County.
I saw the tours of your store on YouTube, and like I was blown away, and it looked super impressive, the amount of space you guys had. So like that's crazy to me that you're like going for the real crazy big event spaces.
Yeah, you see all that space that we have, again, sitting 75, 80 people, and like that's a Thursday, like there's
For
70
sure.
people in the building on a Thursday, and we want to host hundreds, like people in this place, but thinking about it being lucrative or not, because like we don't make any money off our tournaments. We lose money on all of our tournaments, matter of fact. And like, it's 70 people doesn't translate to 70 transactions. And so then you're hosting a space that really doesn't make money and it's very big. So, you really have to compensate in other areas or have that cafe that is there making the money. But I really want a bigger space for our players.
If you expanded to the bigger, almost event center like space, would that be, because you mentioned you guys had a shed and stuff? I'm trying to picture what this looks like. Would you kind of just expand upon the location you're already at and make it bigger, or go buy a bigger place somewhere else?
So we actually tried buying a bigger place during COVID, and oh my God, the city bought us so. We tried that once, and we've been in the same location for almost 5 years now. And we reckon, there's no way to get a bigger space out of there. One day, ideally, we have a small little warehouse where we're shipping out of that we do our online there. And we could actually knock the walls down where we are for now to make a big event space. But that's a very far off project. My biggest goal in life is to own a forklift personally. I have a passion for forklifts.
Oh, that's awesome. I saw that on your Instagram. I thought that was funny.
So we wanna eventually have a warehouse. That'd be like a dream. And then we would have, because we had the warehouse, we could shift all the office out of there. We would have a bigger play area for our players. And I think we estimated that we could hold about 110 once we could knock all the walls down.
That's pretty impressive. Well, hey man, I'm hoping you get that forklift. Like I feel the passion, and I'm manifesting good things for you guys.
Thank you. Forklift's the dream.
Since this is a video game podcast, we got to ask you what if you're playing any video games now, and if those are mostly like virtual, tabletop games or card games, or if you have different genres.
Yeah,
we're real obsessed with Slay the Spire here. All three of us at this podcast.
Yeah, me four. I love Slay the Spire. So I've been a PC gamer all my life. Like, my parents bought me up the original PlayStation. It was awesome. And I played PS2. And mostly, and I bought a PS3 just to play the Metal Gear game. I had Metal Gear and like Silent Hill, and that's about it. We're like the big console games. Or a lot of JRPGs, Final Fantasy stuff. That's really cool. But now it's all on the computer, So I have my gaming computer back there. I've been building gaming computers most of my life. So in the last 6 months, I mostly play card games, dude. It's crazy. I have this big, powerful gaming computer to play Slay the Spire or Monster Train. If you guys haven't played Monster Train, it's made by the guys from Slay the Spire. It's like a spiritual sequel. It's called Monster Train. So I'd highly recommend that one. I play a lot of virtual Yu-Gi-Oh on there. I got back into Hearthstone recently. So again, like more card game heavies. What I play. I just beat Cyberpunk recently.
Sure.
I try to play the games on like the most difficult settings. I'm spending like $60 on like an 8-hour, like the Resident Evil game.
Yes.
Yeah, I always fire up the hardest difficulty. That way you get like.
That's what we love to hear. We have a whole episode about that specific thing.
Yeah, you turn a 12-hour game into a 16-hour accomplishment. My other favorites are like any of the Elden Ring, Sekiro. Sekiro is my favorite. I remember beating like every time I get stuck on a boss in Sekiro for a week and a half, and I beat them, I would just. My chest is pumping, and I just love challenges. Like that's why I like card games so much, because it's not you can have a better deck than your opponent and still lose. Because that's the challenge ultimately, because you're playing with a factor of luck. And like that's the challenge. And card games, especially Yu-Gi-Oh, they're extremely challenging and harder than any other video game you're going to play outside of some of their Ghost and Ghoul or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I like challenging. I like the challenging computer games, and then I played mostly card games.
I love that. Yeah, I'm a big proponent of the hardest difficulty as you can. My roommate told that to me one time, and then I never went back. You mentioned JRPGs. I have to ask, you a Kingdom Hearts guy? You like Kingdom Hearts? No,
I played. I just don't like Disney in general. And even if I did, the game's really easy. It's like square, mash.
Hey man, not if you're playing on that hardest difficulty.
Yeah, I haven't played Kingdom Hearts. I think I played the original one and didn't play any more of them. But JRPGs, man, like the original old turn-based JRPGs, like
oh yeah. Big fans, big
Yeah,
fans.
my favorites were like Legend of Legaia, Xenogears, Chrono Cross, Chrono Trigger, um, Final Fantasy. Like Final Fantasy 9 was the first one I played, and that just like stuck out to me the most.
Yeah, that's a good one for sure. So, we're kind of running out of the time towards you said you get a bounce. I got one more kind of question for you. If you had to recommend, like just to round it out, if you had to recommend any trading card game for people to get into if they've never touched a deck building game, never touched any of this kind of realm before. What would be the one that you would recommend for beginners, for all our video game listeners who might want to transition over?
100% Magic, especially with Magic Arena you have on the computer. It's very easy to learn on the computer. We have an influx of players. I played on the computer and I wanted to come in and play real people, and I bought these cards and spent hundreds of dollars, and I want to get good and competitive. Magic is an easy card game to learn. Millions and millions of people play it. So you can go to any store in the country, the world, people are playing Magic. Magic has this huge player base and has a bunch of good online content. I got people that just got into Magic a month ago, and they're playing very casual. Commander is really the gateway for
Gotcha.
It's cheap, it's easy, makes a lot of sense. You're playing with 4 people, and they're all guiding you on how to play. And it's a very open, welcoming community. Very welcoming community. You might find some gatekeeping or something like that with the really high competitive players, but
Of course.
a casual player isn't going to go sit down and play a game with them. But Magic is by far is an easier. I keep saying easiest, but Pokemon I think is easiest, but easier card game to get into. And if you're looking at another card game, like, to be honest with you, outside of Pokemon, like Yu-Gi-Oh is the most challenging card game I've ever played. All these other games are very challenging, and there's not a big player base for them.
Got it.
Yeah, Magic, 100%.
Well, heard it here first, folks. If you're in Southern Florida and you want to learn a new card game, head on down to Prodigy Games and try out some Magic.
Yes, if you do come in, yeah, seriously, we'll sit down, teach you. A lot of us have just free cards. We'll give you. You come by, you tell me you want to learn Commander. I'm gonna hook you up. I'll knock it down and I can sell it to you.
That's what we love to hear.
Yeah.
It's about that time where we are just going to give you the floor. You can plug yourself, plug Prodigy Games, anything you guys have like upcoming or you're going to be making appearances at. Let the people know what's going on.
Yeah. So Prodigy Games, ProdigyGamesTCG.com. So it's ProdigyGamesTradingCardGame.com. We're always lowest price, so we have coupons abound on there. 5% off. You use Prodigy Games 5. We'll save you 5% off your first order. Again, we will beat any price on sealed products. If you find a cheaper price, email, we'll beat it. Call us up, we'll beat it. We have great customer service. We're really just a heart for everything. We're not just a corporate store. A lot of these people I grew up with, playing with them, are my friends, and we all are just so passionate about growing our company and growing our brand. We really bend over backwards for customer service. And if you're in South Florida, we do pride ourselves in being one of the best in South Florida. Not in all of Florida. And we just really think we've gotten that way because we care so much about community. We're so community focused and centric. We're not just here to make money. It's not our thing. Matter of fact, every penny we make, we just reinvest back in the company. It's bigger and bigger and bigger tournaments. Like I mentioned, we lost $3,000 in our last tournament. You know what, man? Luckily, we're there. We can do it. We can afford to take the hits because those guys really want to play in that 5,000. I mean, the guy walked away with $2,000 in his pocket just for showing up the match. It's awesome.
That's huge.
So we're here. We're here for the community. We're here for the community. We found our success and our strides because of the community and the support of our players and the support of people online. And when we go to these events, people walk up and I buy from you guys all the time. You guys are so cheap. You guys get it to me so quickly. So yeah, we're here for you. We're here for the players. This isn't like some get rich quick scheme because it's not working if it is. But I honestly, the industry, I got to tell you, the industry is so tough. A lot of people ask me about opening up shops and how they want to do it and this, that, and the other. And I'm just like, dude, this is the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life. And, it's taken almost 5 years to get to this point. And like, you see 60% of these stores are shutting down in the first, second year of business. It is not an easy industry to be in. It's probably just as hard as the restaurant industry,
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I highly recommend people go to the local game shop, support the local game stores. Without these game stores, there is no hobby. That's true. You can sit in your room and collect cards as much as you want, but the trading and all that, the whole trading of the trading card game is gone. So you definitely, want to show support when you can. Whenever you're in the new state, new country, whatever it is, try to buy a booster pack. They appreciate it. They love seeing that kind of stuff. Go on out, go to these stores, learn the game online, pick up a commander deck, and go meet some new friends. That's it's the biggest takeaway from the whole thing. Go meet your friends. They're out there.
Absolutely, man. I couldn't thank you enough for being on here. I love everything you guys are about, and your entire business model that is going to buy you what money can't buy. That's the loyalty, that's the support, and that's the love of the community. And you guys are providing a place for players to be their best selves. So, from one gaming industry to another, thank you for doing what you're doing, man.
Thank you all for doing what you're doing. It's all about community. It's community video games, community trading card games, community golf, community bowling, whatever it is. If we want these to stick around, and people want to keep making excellent video games and better card games and just producing content for the things that we love, we got to keep this going.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we know you got to bounce. I wish you luck in your Yu-Gi-Oh tournament, my friend. And once again, thanks for coming on.
Luck. Yeah. Hey, much love, y'all. Thank you so much for having me. It was really awesome talking with you guys.
Well, Lucas, that was quite a good interview, I'd say. Don't you think?
Yeah, I would agree. Definitely. I mean, as someone who's not super familiar with trading cards in that industry, definitely was a great kind of introduction. Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon cards are something that I hadn't gotten familiar with since I was a wee lad. But glad to see they're still going strong because I was having fun with them back then. So nice to see they're still going now.
Absolutely. I also just want to shout out the fact that a lot of the money and profits they're making from these tournaments and these events, they're giving back to charity. I specifically want to mention, in case you didn't catch that they're donating to help homeless cats. Adopt a Cat Foundation. I don't realize if you heard that, and I was this close to calling it out in the interview, but if you remember, you were very against adopting the cats. So I'd like to just, I'm not alone out here, sir. You got to save the cats. All I'm saying.
As someone that works in an animal hospital, I am very pro adopting pets of all kinds. Let me that for the record, that's my stance, and that's where we're at. But yeah, that's great. That's a good charity to donate to because there's too many strays as it is. So.
Absolutely. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Save the cats. I will definitely be checking out Monster Train. I don't know about you. I've been playing a lot of Golf Story on my Switch recently. So once that game comes to a conclusion, I'll hit up that Monster Train. What is that developer's name? I always forget.
Unity is the the
engine. Megacrit. That is the developer.
For Monster Train, it says the developer is Shiny Shoe.
Oh, maybe not by the same people. Either way, that sounds fun though. I'm always into these card games and these deck building games. We gotta play some more tabletop sim, Lucas. We gotta try out Star Realms.
I know we have not done tabletop sim since the beginning of the pandemic.
I know, and now that you've got a wired connection down in your gaming cave, we can do that content.
Yeah, we can diversify our streaming
for sure. Well, folks, thank you for tuning into another wonderful interview here with us. I'm proud of us, Lucas. We're killing it with the back and forth, the 1-to-1 ratio. Who might we have next? You'll find out. It's a huge surprise. We got a killer guest lineup. You're gonna find out who it is.
It's a surprise even to us.
Until then, you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, our Twitter. We got it back.
Our Twitter's been resurrected.
We're redeveloping.
We are now of age.
We are of age now. I just put my own birthday for the birthday, so
That's
it'll
good
work
because
now.
you are definitely not 3 years old. So that's
For
good.
sure. And while you're at it, folks, while you're checking us out, looking into some video game content, you might as well just like click subscribe right on YouTube, right there. It's a big red button right there for you. Help us grow our channel, help support different businesses and voices in the gaming community, like our friend Ryan, who we just had on. And if you're in Southern Florida, go check out Prodigy Games. Looks like a really cool place to play. Subscribe to them on YouTube too. They're there. They have content. You can even see exactly what their store looks like inside. Go check it out. And until next time, I'm gonna be trying to master the game of golf, both virtually and in real life. So catch you out on the course, Lucas.
Uh, yeah, maybe next season.
Goodbye, folks.